How do I find leg? How do I isolate this L? I divide by the square root of 2. And then I take my radical and I fix it.
But like the little formula thing,
it depends on what you know and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But there's a consistent relationship that involves the square root of 2. Either you're going to multiply by it or you're going to divide by it. Depends on what you know and what you're looking for.
How do you get the square root of 2?
Now let's think for a second. Multiplying by something gives you a bigger number, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for the leg, if you're looking for the hypotenuse, that's the biggest number that's going to be there. So we're going to need to multiply by the square root of 2.
Yeah, but like the little formula thing says leg equals hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2.
Right, leg equals hypotenuse divided by square root of 2. Leg equals hypotenuse divided by square root of 2.
Okay.
Jacob.
Could you go back to that relationship?
A 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, we call the three sides of it these three things. It has a short leg, a long leg, and a hypotenuse. Okay, well the hypotenuse is the hypotenuse. The other two sides are legs, but we have to distinguish between them because they don't equal each other. Well, one's shorter than the other. That's why we have short and long.
I know what it is.
Okay? It is a scalene triangle. But that's unimportant at this point. Here are the locations of your short leg, your long leg, and your hypotenuse. The short leg is always opposite the 30 degree angle. The long leg is always opposite the 60 degree angle, and the hypotenuse is always opposite the 90 degree angle.
So the hypotenuse is the long?
Yes. The hypotenuse in a right triangle is always the longest side.
But it's not the long.
But it's not the long leg, it's the hypotenuse. Okay. Now there's two relationships that exist. One exists between the short leg and the hypotenuse. So if I know one or the other, I can find the missing piece. And it's that the hypotenuse is twice as big as the short leg. They're always in a ratio of 2 to 1. So if the short leg's 10, the hypotenuse is
14.
20. Twice as big. Twice as big. And if the hypotenuse was 14, the short leg would be 7.
Wait, so if you know the hypotenuse, if you wanted the long leg, you have to plug the hypotenuse into that formula.
Yes.
The short leg and plug it into
Yes.
the long leg.
Yes. Okay. Shh. Now the long leg has a relationship between itself and the short leg. So if you're looking for the long leg, you have to know the short leg.
The short leg is like the god of the triangle.
Exactly. If you want to give it that kind of status.
I mean, like you know everything if you know the short leg.
Exactly.
So what if you don't know the short
It's
leg?
like the queen.
Then you use one of the others to figure it out.
It rules.
Okay? Because listen, shh. If I know the hypotenuse, I'll divide by 2 to find the short leg. If I know the long leg, I'll divide by the square root of 3 to find the short leg. All right? So those are the relationships that exist. Does everybody have this down? Can I switch the slide?
See.
Okay. Darian, was that a no?
No, he said yeah.
No,
that was weird voice. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I only have a 30 degree and a 90 degree angle labeled. Well, we know the other one has to be 60 degrees. So, this is a special right triangle. It's special because I can find 2 missing sides when I only know one. But because this is a 30, 60, 90, before I even start, I need to remind myself which one is the hypotenuse, which one is the short leg, and which one is the long leg. So, Aaron, by coming up here and putting your finger on the words, and you got to hold it down for a second or two before you move it. Identify the pieces. You don't have to press. Put your finger on it. Hold it for a second. Okay, now. Oh, that was too long. A second. This is working well. There you go.
Almost got it.
I think your finger's too dry.
I can do it. I can dig it. I can dig it.
Lick it. Lick your finger.
Lick your finger.
Lick your finger. Lick your finger. He
No,
licked
look,
it.
this
Get
one's
it.
good.
Everybody at home
This
has
is
licked his finger.
He
Oh my
licked
god.
his finger.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. That's a bear.
All right, that's good. We'll just go with that. Okay. Thank you.
Everybody.
Start figure.
No, you're trying here. Okay.
You recorded.
Yes. Now that we have established the hypotenuse, the short leg, shh,
It's everyone.
and the long leg,
I was Aaron Champ.
if we know the short leg, we can find either of the other two, right? Well, let's start with the easier one. The hypotenuse is twice as big. So the hypotenuse is 12. The long leg, I simply take the short leg and multiply it by square root of 3. Now let's check this, okay? Because according to the Pythagorean theorem, if this is indeed a right triangle, which we say it is,
It's lying.
then the hypotenuse squared must be equal to the short leg squared plus, what is 36 times 3?
72 plus 32.
108.
Okay, apparently it's 108.
And it does,
Yay.
okay? And it does. All right? Is this a special right triangle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay? It's a 30, 60, 90. So we have to identify our pieces first. My hypotenuse is here. My short leg is here. My long leg is here. Now this time I know the long leg. Can I find the hypotenuse straight from the long leg?
Not exactly. Yep.
First I have to find the short leg. Okay, so what's the relationship between long and short?
Square root of 3.
Square root of 3. Since I know the long and I'm trying to get short, do I multiply or divide?
Bye.
Divide. So 8 divided by the square root of 3, but you can't put that as an answer.
So it'd be 8 square root of 3.
Over 3.
Over 3
3. That's what I said.
when you do your manipulation.
The short one is 8.
Yes. Now the hypotenuse, you take 8 square roots of 3 over 3, multiply by 2. Okay, that's
16 square roots.
exactly.
16 square roots of 6.
Multiply by 2, whole numbers multiply together. 16 square roots of 3
Over 3.
over 3.
Do we have to check that one?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to check.
How
Okay.
would you square never mind.
All right. Is this a special triangle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe.
All
Yes,
I have
it is.
labeled is 45, 45. Well, those add up to 90, so this has to be 90.
Told you. Who said maybe?
And what am I looking
You.
for?
Looking for the long, short leg.
Hypotenuse. There is no long and short leg in a 45, 45, 90. They're equals. Okay, so let's think. What's the relationship? Is it square root of 2 or 3?
2.
Square root of 2. Do I multiply to get the hypotenuse or
Yes.
divide? Multiply. Well, that was easy.
Multiplicative inverse.
But, well, it's better than somebody said add. Okay, now on my computer, this looks like a 45, 45.